His hands trembled as he signed the divorce papers, believing he was stepping into a better life. Behind him, his wife stood still. No tears, no anger, just a quiet kind of heartbreak that said everything words couldn't. He left that day with pride in his eyes, never knowing the storm waiting ahead. Because sometimes the people we leave behind become everything we once dreamed to be. Before we begin, hit subscribe. It's appreciated. It was a calm morning when Daniel locked the door of his old home for the last time. The smell of coffee still lingered in the kitchen, the same way it had for years. Warm, steady, familiar. His wife, Maria, had made it every morning, even on the days he forgot to say thank you. But that morning, her cup sat untouched, growing cold beside the sink. Daniel was a man people admired. Sharp suit, smooth smile, always in control. He believed success was everything, and for a while it was. He built his business from nothing, working nights while Maria cared for their little boy, Lucas. But as the years passed, the hunger for more began to eat away at him. More money, more power, more excitement, until one day, more meant someone else. A younger woman who made him feel alive again, or so he thought. Maria didn't beg him to stay. She simply stood there, calm and quiet, as if she had already made peace with the pain. Her silence hurt more than any words could. Daniel took it as indifference, but really it was strength. After he left, the house felt emptier than ever. The laughter that once filled its walls was replaced by long, heavy silences. Maria went back to work, taking small jobs, doing her best to keep things normal for Lucas. She didn't complain, didn't speak ill of Daniel, and never once showed bitterness. But at night, when the world went still, she wondered if she had failed. As a wife, as a woman, as a dreamer. Still, there was something deep inside her that refused to give up. Maybe it was for her son. Maybe it was for herself. Whatever it was, it pushed her to stand tall again. Life moved on, but not the way Daniel expected. His new world, fancy restaurants, shining cars, endless parties, sparkled only on the surface. Inside, it felt empty. The woman he left everything for, Claire, loved the idea of his success more than the man himself. And slowly, when the money started to thin, so did her affection. Maria, on the other hand, was changing in silence. Her days began early, packing lunches, sending Lucas to school, and heading to her new job at a small tech startup. She didn't know much about business, but she had ideas. Quiet, clever ones that made people listen. She noticed things others missed, and little by little her voice began to matter. She started saving every small paycheck, learning about markets, about how small things could grow if cared for patiently. Every night after Lucas went to bed, she sat by the window reading about companies and investments while the city lights flickered outside. The same woman Daniel once saw as ordinary was slowly becoming extraordinary, one humble step at a time. But Daniel didn't know. He was too busy pretending everything was fine. The world saw a man of charm and confidence. Inside, he was drowning in debt, fear, and regret. One evening, when his car was repossessed outside his office, he realized how far he'd fallen. The calls from banks wouldn't stop, and neither would the emptiness. Claire was gone by then, vanished the moment his last account ran dry. Meanwhile, Maria's name started to appear in business circles. Her ideas turned into projects, and her projects turned into companies. Investors admired her calm leadership, the same quiet strength Daniel once mistook for weakness. Within a few years, she built a firm that changed lives, employing women, single mothers, and dreamers who once felt unseen, just like she had. Daniel began seeing her face in magazines and on TV interviews. He couldn't believe it was her, the woman he had walked away from, now confident, graceful, powerful. He would sit alone in his small apartment, staring at her smile through the screen, feeling a sting he couldn't describe. Have you ever carried pain in silence, hoping one day someone would truly see you? Tell us in the comments. The news hit Daniel like a slow, heavy wave. Maria, his ex-wife, had just been announced as one of the youngest billionaires in the country. The company she founded had gone public overnight, and its value soared beyond anything he had ever dreamed of. The woman he once left behind was now being praised for her strength, her kindness, and her story of rising after heartbreak. He sat on the edge of his bed that night, the same bed he had bought secondhand after losing everything, and thought about the moment he walked out of that door years ago. He remembered her silence, that calm, steady silence, and finally understood it wasn't weakness. It was grace. Days later, their paths crossed again. By chance, he saw her stepping out of a black car in front of a charity gala. Cameras flashed. Reporters called her name. She looked radiant, wearing confidence like a crown. Daniel froze where he stood, half hidden among the crowd. He wanted to walk up, to say something, anything. But what could he say? "I'm sorry? I was wrong." Their eyes met for a brief moment, and in that silence, something broke inside him. She didn't look away in anger. She simply gave a small, knowing smile, the kind that says, "I forgave you long ago, but I've moved on." Daniel felt tears rise, but he swallowed them back. It wasn't jealousy, and it was realization. The woman he left behind had not only survived without him, she had flourished. And he, who once thought he was everything, was now a man learning humility the hard way. For the first time, he saw what love really meant. Not wealth, not excitement, but respect, patience, and kindness. And he knew he had thrown it away. What would you have done if this truth was suddenly staring back at you? Tell us in the comments. Daniel walked away that day carrying more than memories. He carried understanding. The world hadn't changed overnight, but something inside him had. The fear, the pride, the need to prove himself, all slowly melted into a quiet lesson about life, love, and respect. He realized that every choice mattered, not just for him, but for everyone touched by his actions. Maria's journey didn't stop with wealth. She used it to build schools, support single mothers, and create opportunities for those society often overlooked. Her success was never about revenge or proving Daniel wrong. It was about lifting others, showing that strength could be gentle, and that resilience could bloom quietly in the hardest times. Daniel began to see people differently, noticing small acts of courage he had once ignored. The homeless man on the street, the tired mother carrying groceries, the young girl with big dreams in a small town. Each one had a story. Each one had value. He understood that real power didn't come from money or appearances, but from empathy and action. In the quiet of his apartment, he started volunteering, helping in shelters, and listening more than speaking. The same world he had rushed through, chasing status, now seemed rich with possibility if only he paid attention. He felt regret, yes, but also gratitude. For the lesson, for Maria's example, for the chance to change. Maybe that's how life works. Sometimes, we lose what we thought we wanted to gain something far greater, the understanding of our own heart, and the ability to see the humanity in others. Every small act of kindness, every patient choice became a spark that could light a way for someone else. What part of this story stayed with you the most? Tell us in the comments. Show some love with a like and subscribe to stay inspired.